So tip number one, learn Charlie Parker's heads. There are many tunes, and I'm going to put a list here of tunes that I think a lot of the jazz guitarists should learn, especially at the beginning. And the reason why, obviously, they're part of the vocabulary. You have to learn the vocabulary of jazz. And especially after you learned each head, if you take these heads apart and you basically separate each phrase that sits over a chord, you will have learned some phrases. I've actually posted a while back a lesson called Jazz Bites. I will link it in the description and in a pinned comment, where I basically explain how to learn very small phrases, small parts that make up your vocabulary as a jazz guitarist. So let's make an example. Let's say I want to learn Scrapple from the Apple. So that second line, I actually really like that. It's basically like a G minor. You can see that it starts from the minor third, 9, then there's an arpeggio backwards from the 7th, and then it lands on the flat 9 of C, so C7 flat 9. So the first thing I want to do is separate that. I'm going to learn that as a lick, and I can, let's say, take it onto a 2. If I have a 2, 5, 1 in C, I can play the same thing. So if I have a 2, 5, 1, G7, this is in C, C major 7, A, I can use that line. So you see that I've used that line in context. Obviously, it's very recognizable, but I just wanted to make an obvious example. Same thing for Donna Lee. That first line is A flat major 7 going to F7. But if I stick to that to that A flat major 7, and I just replace that last note, or change slightly the last line, I've learned a bebop line. I've made up a bebop line. Okay, so this is how to use material that comes from history, comes from the source of bebop, and adapting to the situation, adapting that to the situation. A good book is that I suggest is Charlie Parker for Guitar by Mark Volpel. I hope I'm saying that last name right. And that contains a lot of this stuff, basically. Tip number 2, if you come from a different genre, if you learn the big chunky 7 chords, or the disco chords as I call them, you might want to learn shapes that are smaller without repetitions, because obviously these big chunky chords, they have loads of repetition. D minor 7, if I play it this way, is A, D, A again, C, F, A again. So there are too many repetitions. And when you actually use these in context, you want to learn chord progressions, not chords in isolation, because you want to have smooth voice leading. Let's say if I learned 2, 5, 1 in C, D minor, G7, C major 7, I wouldn't really play these big chunky chords. Even though these sound okay, I think this sounds jazzier, or also because these are richer. I have D minor 9, G7 13 to C major 7 9. And another way, you want to look at very smooth voice leading. Okay, so again, D minor 9, this is D flat 7 9, C major 7 9. So learn chords in chord progression chunks, not in isolation. You will see that in jazz standards, you will soon recognize chord progressions like a 165, C, A, D, G, so C major 7, A minor 7, D minor 7, G7. And these are standard block chord progressions, okay, like C major 7, C sharp diminished, D minor 7, D sharp diminished, and then some inversion of C. There'll be 165s, 4 sharp, back to 1. These are all standard jazz chord progressions that you will meet many times. So you want to learn those as block chords. You want to learn a combination of shapes that work well together rather than jumping around. Like if I played D minor 7, G7. Those are not wrong, but then to me that doesn't sound right. If I play jazz, that's a bit weird. The chords are too far from each other. Just to say that if you get any value from this video, please consider to share with somebody that could get some value as well. Like and subscribe as always. The more you like the video, the more this gets shared through the community, the guitar community. And please check out the links in my description. That's a good way to support by visiting my website and making a donation. You will get some free ebooks. There's a lot of stuff in my shop that you can get for very little, so you can support this channel. Okay, let's keep going. Tip number 3: when you learn chords that are nice voice shapes, nice voicings, something like that. A lot of modern jazz and R&B, especially like the pop R&B type music, is built on something called constant structure. So you will hear a lot. This is because of a lot of the R&B producer, they use samplers, and they basically have a chord of a different key, but the same chord voicing on a different button of the sampler. So it's not uncommon to find songs that go. So you see all I've done is basically move that shape around. This is a D, a C minor 9. You see it's quite a modern sound. A lot of like Hancock tunes do this, and in pop, like R&B pop, like Leanne LaHavis does this quite a bit, where you have that D minor 9. This is G minor 9, D minor 9. So you see that you can get a lot of mileage just from one chord shape. Tip number 4, learn to transpose. So if I have a short lick, let's say this works on D minor or the C major family, I want to try and see, let's say on C minor, that would be the 13th, the flat 7. And I want to try and learn to transpose that in every other minor chord. So G minor, C minor, and maybe learn it with different fingerings. F minor, different octave. So this is a very important skill in jazz, being able to transpose, because standards have the same chord progressions, but usually they're in different keys. And singers tend to sing standards in different keys. Musicians play this in different keys. So, if you play this with a sax player, you will be more comfortable in a different key than a guitarist. There are obviously standard keys, like the original key usually is more important, because if you go to a jazz jam, most people will play that in the original key, a jazz standard in the original key, where maybe singers, because of the range, they will change the key. So be able to transpose is a very important skill in jazz, so please try and do that. 5th skill, learn to swing, meaning that swinging is just as well as something you pick up by ear by listening to jazz and different versions of the same tune. It's something that you learn it's a technique. I made a video a while ago. I will link that as well on a pinned comment. But playing, what I'm trying to say is that playing something that is simple might sound better than something that is complex if you play with the right feel. Let me play like a 1-6-2-5 in C, so C major 7, A minor 7, D minor 7, G7. So I'm now just going to play C major pentatonic. Those are all notes that work. I'm going to play with a swing feel. Okay, and then I'll explain how to achieve that. I'm just going to play C major pentatonic. So you hear that even just playing something really simple sounds great if you know how to play with the correct feel. And the way I can describe this, I'm going to turn a little bit on the side and I'm going to probably zoom into the right hand, because what happens here, you're using syncopation, which is putting the accent mostly on the upbeat. I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to try and accentuate a little bit the upbeats more than the downbeats, so to speak, and create variety. Again, same thing. You have to obviously put a harder picking on the. You have to pick harder on the upstrokes. Okay, here we go. Okay, I hope this makes sense. So the right simple stuff with the right feel sounds better than complicated stuff played with the wrong feel. Okay, hope this helped.